Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to check out Internet Computer's price chart and see what is going on in the short term. And we're going to actually check out the possibility of a bit of a bullish pattern suggesting in ICP, at least let's say for the next week or two, should we expect like a 20% move on the upside or not? But before we get into all that good stuff, at first, we are going to talk about something serious that just happened. And in case you don't know, this is, in my view, a wake-up call for anybody building or using crypto applications. Because a few days ago, a trusted developer's account on NPM got hacked. And we are not talking about some random package. No, this guy actually maintained some serious libraries, which basically every single JavaScript project out there is using it. And we are talking about billions of downloads here. Now, in here, the attacker actually pushed malicious updates that silently hijack crypto transactions. And this is very important because basically, if you are using an application that includes one of those compromised packages, well, unfortunately, if you are going to try and send crypto, that malicious code is going to swap your wallet address to theirs. So instead of, for example, you sending money to me, you're actually going to accidentally, and while you don't really know it, send money to those people, which is not really ideal. And well, since this is the crypto market, when your money goes, it will go and you are not going to have access to it ever again. Now, of course, the security team have responded really fast and they have revoked the bad versions and flush caches. But here is the situation. Unfortunately, the damage is sort of kind of already done, and these packages were actually everywhere. And unless you are using, like, for example, a hardware wallet and double checking every single transaction, you, my friends, are exposed. So please understand this. And here are two very important tips for you. Number one, if you are not on a hardware wallet, then okay, do not make any on-chain transactions for at least, let's say, the next couple of days and weeks. And point number two, always verify the destination address right before you sign anything, okay? This is a very important point because apparently the malicious code will swap the address just one moment before you confirming the transaction. So if at the last minute you check your addresses, you are, I think, going to be fine. Now, let's talk about AI agents a little bit because this is actually a very important point and the whole mess shows exactly why we need a smarter, more secure infrastructure in here. So the first question, what are actually AI agents? You see, AI agents are basically like autonomous assistants. They are able to observe, decide, act, and learn, and you can use them to automate flows. For example, you can manage assets, interact with APIs, or even run parts of your business. They are scalable, very much fast, and unlike humans, they do not sleep, which for work, it's absolutely awesome. But here's a catch for you. You see, if you host these agents on centralized cloud platforms, unfortunately, they are going to be vulnerable, just like the NPM hack. One compromised account or server can expose every single thing, and that is one very important reason for why people are starting to talk about hosting AI agents on chain, where the code is tamper-proof, transparent, and governed by smart contracts. Now, I'm not really sure if you have heard of this famous saying that AI plus blockchain combination is a match made in heaven. And if you have heard of it, you might wonder, well, okay, what does that even mean? And this is going to be one very important subject that we are going to talk about in today's update. You see, when you host an AI agent on chain, you get tamper-proof code. And that means nobody is able to sneak in a backdoor and change the logic behind the scenes. And every update in here is public, every decision is traceable, and if your agent is managing money, for example, or maybe voting in a DAO, or maybe even handling sensitive data, that transparency is 100% critical. Also, if you're going to have AI agents on chain, you also get the benefit of decentralized control, and that means no single cloud provider can shut down your agent or hold it hostage. You can govern it with tokens, upgrade it through community votes, and align its behavior with incentives baked into the smart contracts. And here's a kicker for you. Agents on chain can hold and move token themselves, and they don't just run logic. Like we said earlier, they are able to participate in the economy. You can, for example, reward them, penalize them, or escrow their actions based on performance. And that, my friends, is called native value flow, and it is something that centralized AI simply is not able to do. Now, you might ask, well, okay, why should we care about AI agents when we are talking about ICP? Well, that is exactly where internet computer comes in clutch, because as you can see, Dominic Williams actually responded to this very, very important tweet and talked about some fascinating points. So let's just break it down. You see, he basically said ICP at the moment is the perfect candidate for having AI agents on chain. And you might ask why. I have a couple of very, very important reasons for it based on Dominic's tweet and also my knowledge about internet computer. Number one, ICP runs agents inside canisters, which are smart contracts that execute across a decentralized network of data centers. Every action in here is validated by consensus, so your agent's logic stays locked and auditable, meaning no silent edits, no shadow updates. Reason number two, you see, canisters are able to store massive amounts of data, especially with the recent update. They are now able to store up to 500 gigabytes of data, and that is absolutely perfect for retrieval augmented generation agents that need to reference large datasets or enterprise archives. And with the help of ICP, they do not need external servers to do this. Reason number three, we have to talk about the speed because I think it matters quite a bit. You see, ICP is able to deliver sub-second finality and web-grade performance. And for example, your agent can fetch price feeds, interact with DeFi protocols, or even trigger cross-chain messages, all without middleware or delay. So if you want speed, I think once more, ICP is the perfect candidate for you. Reason number four, we have to talk about governance because it is already actually baked in here. You see, you can tokenize your agents, let a DAO fund its compute cycles, and reward it for useful behavior. And that's actually not a theory. It is already right now happening on ICP. And when it comes to privacy, ICP is able to support encrypted channels and trusted execution environments, and your prompts, your models, your data, all of that good stuff stay confidential and 100% verifiable. And the last, but definitely the not least important, actually I'm going to say this is the most important reason, ICP is cloud independent. It means it is open source, globally distributed, and not controlled by any single company, and your agents in here runs on your terms, not someone else's infrastructure. So what's the takeaway in here? You see, in my view, for the reasons that we talked about in today's update, AI plus blockchain is absolutely a match made in heaven. And if you want to host artificial intelligence and AI agents on blockchain, it seems like that ICP, based on what we just talked about, is going to be the perfect candidate for you. And this, my friends, is not just about hosting AI, okay? It's very, very important to understand that this is also about building agents that are secure, composable, and economically aligned with the system that they serve. ICP, in my view, checks every single box when it comes to, for example, storage, speed, governance, privacy, and even sovereignty. You name it all, internet computer checks all those boxes. And if AI agents are going to run the future of finance, commerce, and governance, well, they are going to need a home that is built for trust. And right now, again, I'm going to say it, ICP looks like the most complete foundation out there. So I think we should be quite bullish and be extremely optimistic for the future, because in my view, we are going to have, because of the capabilities of the internet computer, massive amounts of adoption. So in terms of fundamentals, I think we are definitely on the right track. Now, what is going on in terms of technical analysis? And I think you already know my views in the mid to long term. I am 1000% bullish. Why? Well, you see, my field of works is Elliott waves, and off of the lowest low, we are able to find a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to about this point and not the highest high into, I'm going to say, hopefully a larger degree wave 1, followed by a correction for wave 2. And what's next? Huge move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5. And you want to remember, in terms of Elliott waves, wave 3 is known to be quite a sharp and a strong move on the upside. Okay, this is a very important point. So I'm gonna say by the end of this cycle, we are going to see a huge wave of price appreciation in internet computer. And here is actually another very important reason for why I believe this is indeed a correction structure. Question: what is one very important characteristic of a corrective movement? If you are a regular viewer, you know the answer. It's being absolutely slow and choppy. And let's just measure this move down timing wise, see how long did it take for us to have this thing. About, let's say, 600 days. On the other hand, this a strong move up from the lows around $2.5 to all the way up here around $16.5 only and only happened in about 90 days. So what does that mean? In my view, this means despite having way more than enough time, bears absolutely failed to pull the price all the way back down to the lows, meaning what? Odds are bulls are in charge and they do have a good bit of power, and when the moment comes, they are just going to push the price higher and higher. And just by like the first target, I think in ICP, we are going to easily take the highest side in here around, let's say, $21. But I think it's safe to say that we are not going to stop there. This is like a 2-year consolidation pattern, and long-term consolidations like this usually lead to massive explosions. So doesn't really make sense for us to just go and take the highest side by like a very small margin and then start the next cycle's bear market. I think that is a bit unrealistic. So I'm gonna say in internet computer, in the next, let's say 6 months to about a year, we are going to see something really special. Now, having said all that, what is going on in the short term? And I know a lot of people, since I actually checked out Twitter before I started today's update, talking about this beautiful potential triangle structure. Now, why did I say this is a potential triangle? Because it's not at the moment confirmed yet. You need to be a bit patient and see a move above the upper line, followed by a slow and choppy pullback, and then a continuation of the move up in order to take this important high. And what can be a likely target for this thing? You need to first put your chart on regular scale and then measure the height of this thing from here to about the lows and put it at your breaking point. As you can see, this is giving you about, let's say, like a $5.2 ICP, which I do think is likely. However, here is the situation. Personally, I'm not a big fan of this triangle. Why is it? That actually comes down to Elliott waves. You see, if you want to say in terms of Elliott waves, we're going to have a triangle, then okay, let's just go around here and draw an A, B, C, D, E. You see, for the subwaves, we're going to have basically ABCs in every single wave. ABC up into B, ABC into C, ABC up into D, and this is our final ABC on the downside into our E leg. Now, pay attention. Also, we said in this initial move, we are going to have an ABC, right? Well, unfortunately, on the live chart, I think something else is going on, and I'm able to identify, instead of having an ABC, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down, which inside of our wave 4, I think we are having like a triangular structure. So what's the deal? You see, if you want to be bullish in ICP and you want to say, okay, just in terms of classic patterns, this is a triangle, and in terms of Elliott waves, I don't know, let's say we are having like a 1-2 setup, then okay, even in that scenario, show me a 5 wave off of this point to about this high in order for me to flip bullish. In my view, there's like a very high chance that in ICP, we are having probably in here an ABC or a WXY, generally some sort of a corrective movement and not an impulse. So I'm going to say, although sure, in terms of classic patterns, this does look like indeed a triangle. However, it may not necessarily end up doing the job. And here is my ideal scenario. You see, I actually want to see a move on the upside in order to take this high, and especially this one right in here around, let's say, $5 region. At that point, I'm willing to bet a lot of people are going to call this thing a confirmed triangle, but unfortunately, this move up is just probably going to gather some liquidity above the highs, and then you're going to see a move down in order to take all these lows right in here. And then from here, I want to see a move up in order to take this high by the first target. Why? Because that actually opens the door to some serious bullish discussions. For example, you see, I am able to find in this area a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave impulsive structure up. Also, this can be off of the lowest low, a 5 wave. So what I want to see is a move down followed by a very strong bounce in order for me to be able to say, you know what, maybe in ICP I am wrong, and in the short term we are actually not bearish. In fact, we may end up having a 1-2 huge move up into wave 3, 4, 5, which on a higher degree is going to be into this larger degree wave 3 correction for another move into wave 5. This scenario, do not get me wrong, can be in play, although I'm gonna be honest with you, in the short term, it's not really my primary case. I would much prefer for ICP to just simply get it over with and go down and take all these lows. But you know, the market doesn't really care about what you, or for that matter, anybody else thinks. The market does what it does, and we are only and only here to analyze it. So let's just say this. If we are bearish, then okay, please count on some more downward price action, and may I suggest treat that as a long opportunity for the next couple of months. On the other hand, if we are bullish, I really have a hard time believing that from here we are going to get a massive breakout. We may see something that looks like a breakout, but it may end up being just a simple fake out and then a move down. And the moment that you see in here a very good bounce in order to take this side, fair enough, at that point we can talk bullish with like just a bit more confidence. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Internet Computers charts. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.